In this episode of Writing Notes, I'm going to talk to you about how to create a profile. A profile basically is telling the story of a noun. So what does that mean? Well, so a noun, as we probably already know, is a part of speech that would be a person, place, thing, or idea. So a noun is something sort of concrete that exists, or abstract that exists, if it's an idea, for instance. But a noun would be something recognizable as having sort of distinct characteristics as opposed to a verb or an adjective or whatever it is. But this isn't a grammar lesson. So, what does this mean in terms of the rhetorical exercise, which is writing a profile? Well, so when you're writing a profile, the basic goal is to provide as much relevant information as is necessary for your audience to understand the thing that's being profiled. So, kinds of information that you might need to include would be maybe historical background, contemporary description, maybe things like statistical information, maybe things like sensory details, and so on and so on. The key thing that ties a profile together, that makes a profile coherent, is that it strives to give an overall impression of the thing being profiled. So, what does this mean? This means essentially that we're trying to give a coherent image of whatever it is that's being profiled. So, for instance, here's a real world example. Several years ago, I read Alan Alda's autobiography, Never Have Your Dog Stuffed, and Other Things I've Learned. An autobiography, or biography as well, are really good examples of the profile genre. These are texts that give us an overall impression of a particular person, with autobiography, obviously, of oneself. And one of the things that I sort of realized fairly quickly in reading Alan Alda's autobiography is that the dominant impression that he gives us is, here's how every experience in my life has trained me to be a better actor or a better writer. Why is that important? Well, because that's, of course, not how real life works. I mean, it's not that you have this... the thing is, a lot of random crap happens to all of us in our lives that have nothing to do with the sort of overall way that we think of ourselves. There was a mouse in my apartment a couple of weeks ago that my cat and I killed, but that has very little to do with the way that I think of myself as a human being in the world. But that all of the sort of random details of one's life get excised from the book, or in this case particularly all of the random details of Alan Alda's life get excised from the book, and all the material that's kept is presented in such a way that it leads to a particular image of Alda, namely someone who is deeply and passionately concerned with his acting and improving his craft, honing his skills, etc., etc. So this is basically what giving a dominant impression means. This is shaped around a sort of central idea, a central image, a central conception of the thing being profiled, the thing that we want to convey, or the image that we want to convey of whatever it is that's being profiled. And you can do this with a town, you can do this with a restaurant, you can do this with a musician, you can do this with a political organization, etc., etc. We have, in fact, profiles all around us all the time. So if you go to, say, a political party's website, they will usually have their platform. That's a profile. That is the set of information that they want you to know, that gives you the impression they want you to take. If you go to, for instance, a lot of corporate websites, they'll often have, here's a history of the corporation, mission statements. These are another type of profile. Descriptions of restaurants and things like this. These would be other types of profiles. And they're all about creating a particular image, a particular idea, a particular impression of a thing in the world. So this is essentially what a profile is creating that dominant impression of a noun, a person, a place, a thing, an idea, a group, a trend, whatever it is. Thanks.